Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
She's a film executive, she's a producer, she's the president of Orion Pictures. She helped bring us films including American Fiction. Alana Mayo stops by. We're going to be speaking to her in just a minute.
Yeah, Orion Pictures, man. They've been around for a while, so interesting to see.
Different now, though, than it was in the 1970s.
Which is fascinating, right? You like to see how these things change. Hey, also, billionaire real estate developer and maybe LA mayoral candidate, or maybe he wants to be governor of the state of California. Rick Caruso of Caruso is going to be back with us. We're going to ask him, we're going to push him. Last time we talked with him, he was like, maybe I'm going to have a decision or announcement. So maybe he wants to do it live with us on air.
Maybe.
Just saying, Rick.
Maybe. We're ready.
Let's do it.
Also, yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
We got the culinary producer of The Bear stopping by, and also the youngest female self-made billionaire in the world joins us, Lucy Guo, co-founder of Scale AI.
I think my husband at home wants us to say yes, chef, when he's cooking. And we're like, not happening, honey.
Not happening.
Not happening. Hey, also, the youngest female self-made billionaire in the world is with us. We've got Lucy Guo, co-founder of Scale AI and founder of Passes. She's going to be along as well. So she's a once to watch, isn't she?
Yeah, she's here with us. She's right here.
She's right here.
Yeah, she's coming by in like 45 minutes. It's going to be great. I want to get to our next guest, though, because we are in the heart of Hollywood, live at Bloomberg Screentime in LA. We're speaking to the folks who are defining the next phase of pop culture, includes film and streaming. Alana Mayo is with us. She thinks a lot about these things, streaming and traditional releases, probably simultaneously these days, which is like a little crazy of the world that we live in. Orion Pictures goes back to the late 1970s. Think Amadeus, Silence of the Lambs, and more. It's different now, though. Alana joins us here at Screentime. These days, Orion focuses primarily on films from underrepresented filmmakers. Releases under her tenure include American Fiction, Academy Award-nominated Nickel Boys, and many more, and a lot coming on the horizon now, too. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well. I'm happy to be here.
You just wrapped up this conversation with Mark Duplass. We spoke to him a little earlier. Also, Catherine Oliver as well from Bloomberg. She was the former film commissioner of New York City. The focus was on reinvigorating the creative community. How do you do it?
Just that small question.
This is like the underlying theme of the entire event.
I know.
How do we improve
And why
things?
are we here?
Well, I think we're here because we have so much change and so much dynamism, and the reality is that no one really knows what the next wave of media, content, Hollywood is going to look like. So we're at this incredible inflection point and having to innovate in real time and build new systems while the previous systems are being dismantled, are evolving, are changing. So while I wish I had a quick answer to your question of how do we do it, what we ended up talking about mostly is how do we just create enough sustainability for artists so that everyone can sustain this moment in time. And so whatever's on the other side of this, whatever that looks like, that the creative voices that build our industry can still survive.
Does it get worse before it gets better?
I mean, if you look at it with a long lens, define worse, right? If you look at with a long lens, this business has always been challenged. This business has always gone through dips. It's always gone through ebbs. And how long this moment of uncertainty lasts is probably longer than any of us would love. And if that's how you define worse, then yes. But I think, I think it's just going to always be changing. I don't know if it's going to get worse or better. I think we're going to continue to change and evolve.
I always think about supply and demand cycles. I've got a degree in economics, and I think about the world in that way. And I think there was a period where we thought, man, if you're a content creator, you are good as gold because there's so many, different platforms that need your services. They need your content. And then all of a sudden, I think there's a lot of content and maybe there was too much content and the oversupply. So where is the rebalancing or how do we get back to a different level?
I think we're seeing the rebalancing now. I will say I personally am a little bit worried about the level of consolidation that we have because I do think that it is hard to keep things weighed in the favor of the creators and of the artists, which is really the community that we need to continue any sort of artistic endeavor in media. But, I think Mark said something, he may have already said this to you guys earlier, but that I think is a really important bit of context, which is the past 10 years of the streaming arms race was a boon. Like that was a spike. That was an abnormal state of our industry, right? So this is a little bit corrective, right? It's not completely just the, earth has fallen out underneath us. This is a little bit of a correction of something that was a real kind of an aberration in of itself.
So a good thing. A little bit, maybe? But not good if you're a content creator.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the good thing is that there are more ways to monetize content, right? And we talked about everything from direct-to-consumer models to YouTube. There are a lot of different platforms in addition to Hollywood where you can monetize content. How you do that, right, is the thing that a lot of us don't yet know.
Is,
when he pauses. This could be serious.
It's political, too.
Yeah.
The president has weighed in recently, and he said the way to fix this is to put tariffs on films that are made outside the U.S. You're shaking your head.
I don't think that's the way to fix this.
Why should we be filming scenes about Brooklyn and Vancouver?
I think that I definitely am personally invested in us keeping production inside of the communities that where the people that make them live, right? Because it's not just about are we maintaining the integrity of the film itself by locations-based shooting. This city is where the majority of people that make stuff live, and we've got to keep this city healthy, and the economy and the infrastructure of that has to be supported by films being made here, and we've got to figure that out.
Right.
At the same time, if we're going to make the path of supporting these artists is to be able to make more, to increase the amount of stuff that is being made, we've got to be nimble. And if that means that sometimes shooting things outside of the States or shooting things outside of LA and New York is the way to do that, a lot of the films that we've been able to make that are really innovative and original and risky have to find ways to cost less. And some of the ways that we find to make them cost less is to shoot them elsewhere. And then you have American Fiction, which is a Boston set story that shot in Massachusetts. So, we can figure it out different ways, but we've got to have some flexibility.
I was trying forever to figure out what college that was. What was it? I went to college in New England.
I don't believe they shot. I would be lying to you if I told you I knew exactly where that location was, but it may not have been a college at all. It may have been a conference room. I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
This is the magic of film, I guess. Wait, so you're telling me? No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I remember when Sopranos was taped in my neighborhood, and it's not in New York City. It's just outside New York City.
Well, that's because you live in New Jersey.
Yeah, I know.
But I think at the moment it was supposed to be New York
perfect.
City.
That's so funny.
What are you saying? We're talking with Alana Mayo. She is president of Orion Pictures. But when you talk about, you want LA and the film scene and the filming, you want it to be alive and healthy. But I also do think about, part of your market is a global market.
Yeah, exactly.
So being able to film wherever in the world, that's part of it, right?
100%. We're a global community.
Without a penalty, whether it's a tariff or whatever.
100%. And also, what about the movies that we produce out of Hollywood that are not set in the U.S.? We also produce movies that are set all over the world. Mission Impossible doesn't just all take place here, right? So I think we have to be a global industry. We have to, be a global economy with artisans that are working all over the world. But the argument that I understand is that shouldn't be to the expense of the film industries locally. I feel very strongly about that.
You have a really cool background. You have worked 20th Century Fox, Paramount Pictures. You did a stint at Vimeo.
I did, yeah.
Oh my God. That's a blast from the past.
Yeah,
I know.
it's amazing.
Still around.
I know. But I haven't heard it in a while.
Outlier Society.
Yeah. Sorry, Vimeo.
You came of age in an industry while it was undergoing this massive shift to streaming, which you alluded to. When you began your career, did you ever think that you'd be making movies at a company that was owned by Amazon?
No, I couldn't. I shouldn't say this, but I remember when Amazon first started making television shows, I was at Fox and I laughed. I was like, this is ridiculous.
And
this will never last.
Came out and everyone was like,
and
this
then
is pretty good.
They started making incredible TV shows, and then to track from that moment to now working at a film studio that is under the Amazon umbrella, I couldn't have predicted any of this. I will say though, when you talk about all of those places that I worked, part of the reason why I got my dream job, the best job that I thought you could ever have in film. I was a movie studio executive at Paramount. I was on the Paramount lot. And after being there for 5 or 6 years, I realized that the world around me had changed. And I went to Vimeo very intentionally because I thought there's all of this cool stuff that is happening in this digital space and I need to understand it. And then I said, I got to work with close to the talent and I've got to produce and be able to be scrappy and produce for different platforms and different mediums. So I went to go work with Michael B. Jordan. And so it's been ever changing for the entirety of the time that I've had the blessing of having a career in this industry, which is why I think it's not falling, it's not all falling apart.
What's it like? I mean, Amazon, this mass company, and there are a lot of folks who are like, yeah, that's where I buy all my stuff, right? But we know AWS is massive, and we talked about it earlier too. here in terms of what they are doing, media,
Also,
sports, entertainment.
my doctor works for Amazon.
And your pharmacist.
Yeah,
Right.
it's crazy.
Like hands in so much of our world, and increasingly more so. What's it like, though, running a studio within the Amazon world?
It's interesting. The great benefit of it is in this time of instability, Amazon has such scale that it feels as if you can, one, still be innovative, you can still take risks, and you can ride these waves of change within this massive, company that can withstand some of the headwinds that we're experiencing. So I think it's actually a place where innovation thrives, which sounds like a talking point, but I swear I just made that up. I'm like,
wait, let me see. Are there
I know. I'm like, my cue cards, let me pull them out.
No.
But it is also a big culture clash, so it's navigating those two things at once.
Well, and I also, can I just to follow, like AI, right?
Yeah,
Amazon, they're
sure.
so interchangeable. And then we're looking at anybody who creates content is a little terrified of AI.
They are, yeah. Yeah, those are difficult conversations that we're navigating every single day in real time. And I think the difference from last year, where AI never came up, not once in a conversation about any movie that I was working on, to this year, where it is ever present in what tools are we using, what tools are we not using, and also the fear. I can only imagine next year, this stuff is happening exponentially.
Is the fear warranted?
I think yes and no, right? I think anytime that you have a technology that is going to cause a reduction in jobs, of course, it's worrisome for people.
But
that's just a real human.
Quality?
I can't, I don't know. I think for me, who works with a lot of independent filmmakers and people that are making really highly original stuff, but at a lower cost, I think the tools have honestly been mostly helpful because they are creating, reductions in costs to our budget. Beyond that, I don't know.
Like, I think about this a lot. Like, because we're starting to increasingly play around with things like ChatGPT.
But I still I can't rely on it at all.
Sure.
No.
Sure.
Like, it's not.
No, we're careful. We are. I promise
It's like I
everybody.
spend more time trying to
She's
make
like, I do everything with
Well, I spend
ChatGPT.
so much time trying to make it good.
Right.
And it's like, I don't,
Right.
what I get back, I don't get the love that I need.
We check sources. But I was thinking about it in the entertainment world. You go back to like that Star Wars movie, the first one. And they were playing around with stuff. But I think about CGI and I think about animation.
Wait,
and
the first one or the fourth one?
the first
or
one.
The first one, like in the 1970s first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure.
But that was
Wasn't the first
considered high. But, technology's always had a role increasingly.
Yes.
Whether it's Mission Impossible and the things that Cruise is doing and the stuff happening around. Like, pick whatever it is.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, like everything. So technology has a role. So are we being silly to be so fearful of AI, or we just have to be smart? Or is it something very, very different from the things that we've had in the digital universe?
I don't think that it's silly to be cautious about technological revolutions, evolutions, because they usually come with a flip side to the coin that can have some sort of damaging impact. But what I don't think is going to happen is I don't think that we as studios are going to start generating all of our scripts from some LLM and producing those scripts so that we don't have to pay writers. I said that to a
Tilly
writer very
Norwood's
recently.
not going to be all over the AI actress.
I'm sure Tilly will be in some things. She will not be in Orion films.
I have seen stuff that is so bad where I'm like, this was definitely from AI.
Of course.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about sort of the old school creative process and just ask the basic question, how do you find the good stuff?
Well, that's part of the job is you spend 10, 15, 20 years reading 20 scripts a week. And part of my job is to sift through all of that.
Okay, so for example, to pick something to bet on something like American Fiction, which I think everybody knows about. How many things do you pass on before you get to that?
Probably over 100. Yeah, the conversion rate of American Fiction was an incredible script. One of the best scripts I've ever read in my life. And those are unicorns and they don't come around often. And they cannot be generated. Can someone now write a replicate script that's American Fiction-esque, perhaps through an LLM? Right. But that's not something... That's an incredible voice and writer who wrote almost a perfect script. And those just don't come along often.
Do we have time?
Yeah, go.
Your background, your dad, radio.
Yeah.
Like, He was a big deal. He is a big deal.
He is a big deal. I think so. Yeah.
How did that shape you, kind of growing up in that world?
The best thing about having my dad and my mom both worked in the entertainment industries is I knew that you could make a living doing this. And I didn't have parents who were scared of me chasing this. But I will say I also had a parent who lived through massive technological changes in his industry. I remember showing my dad an iPod, showing him Napster, and his reaction to how that was going to affect things. So I think I have a little bit more kind of tenacity around this because I saw that happen very up close in radio, and it's almost exactly the same as what we're experiencing now in filmed entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, like we see it in our world, and we now do shows that, right now you're on our streaming service, you're on YouTube, you're on radio, and we do a couple of hours that throw traditional linear television into it. So this melding is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a pleasure.
Likewise.
Yeah, really fun. And
Thank
I hope
you.
we can catch up
I hope so
at
too.
some point in the future as well.
Thanks, guys.
Alana Mayo, she's president of Orion Pictures, joining us right here at Bloomberg Screentime.